Here are some points we will explore in this video. 1. Being Jamaican is not a race, it is a nationality. 2. Jamaicans are essentially descendants of immigrants, whether that's by force or free will. 3. We call ourselves Jamaicans, but we come from different races, and some may be mixed race. We don't hyphenate how we identify. For example, we don't say African Jamaican or Indian Jamaican, we just call ourselves Jamaicans. 4. Being Jamaican doesn't mean all can or want to cook, dance, listen to reggae or dancehall, or anything that is globally seen as Jamaican. 5. Jamaica is a small island in the Caribbean, currently has 14 parishes. Jamaicans may say they're from country or town, and when from town, uptown or downtown or ghetto. Uptown mainly meaning upper class, and some might be the lightest skin tones for some, and some may say downtown meaning lower class, and some may be of the darkest skin tones. And the last point, racism, colorism, and classism exists in Jamaica. Now let's explore why a white person or Caucasian may be Jamaican. To do so, we have to go back a little bit in our history for those who need to be reminded, or just for the purpose of this video, or if you don't know, let's dive into Jamaica, the very first people, and take it from there. Now, the Tainos originally found Jamaica. It was supposedly empty at the time, which means nobody never lived here. And that's according to history. So the Tainos became the original people of this land. In 1494, Columbus saw Jamaica, and that sparked the beginning of colonization. First with the Spaniards, then the English battled the Spanish and took over Jamaica. It is said the Spanish introduced African slaves to Jamaica and the English expanded it. Now here's some demographic history. The proportion of white people among the overall population in Jamaica has varied considerably since the establishment of a permanent settlement in 1509 by Juan de Esquivel. The native Taino people were virtually extinct by the 1600s, and the island population of about 3,000 was then overwhelmingly European. However, over the next century, a significant number of African slaves were brought to the island. Jamaica became a colony of England in 1655, and a census in 1662 recorded 53 whites. That was about 87% of the population at the time, and 552 blacks, which was about 13% of the population at the time. So by 1673, there were 7,768 whites, that's 45% of the population at the time, and 9,504 blacks, which equated to 55% of the population at that time. By the end of the century, only 7,000 out of a population of 47,000 were white. Most white immigrants were British, mainly coming voluntarily from other North American colonies or as refugees from colonies like Montserrat and Suriname, which were captured by other European powers. By 1734, the proportion of white people had decreased to below 10% of the overall population of Jamaica. In 1774, Edward Long estimated that a third of Jamaica's white population were Scottish, mostly concentrated in Westmoreland Parish. In 1787, there were only 12,737 whites out of a total population of 209,617. It's important to note that there was a flow of French refugees to Jamaica after the Haitian Revolution, though not many, or not all, remain in the country. In the 1830s, over 1,000 Germans immigrated to Jamaica to work on Lord Seaforth's estate. The 1844 census showed that a white population of 15,776 out of a total population of 377,433. According to the 1871 census, at least 25% of the population was colored, having mixed black and white ancestry. Let's not forget the other groups like the Indians and Chinese who came here through indentured laborship, the Lebanese who came here for a better life, and others who migrated here because they wanted to in the 18 and 1900s and so on. Also, take into account the generations that come after through those who stayed in Jamaica and the interracial relationships that led to mixed race children. So, Jamaicans can essentially be African, European, Asian, and other descendants, many being mixed. So, no, do you see why a Jamaican can be white, black, Indian, Chinese, and so on, as well as mixed with any variety and or several varieties of people? Tell us in the comments what you think of this video so far. Do you agree? Or do you have any pointers that we missed? Tell us. We love to learn from you. Now that covers probably the first 2 points. We're going to continue to cover hopefully all the points that we mentioned to enlighten some to start conversations or have conversations. So once a person is born here, born yasso, they are Jamaican by nationality. And being Jamaican doesn't mean you are from any particular race. But it is important to note that the majority of the nation identify as black. There were simply more Africans than any other group, and hence a lot of our way of life is rooted from African mixed with other ethnic groups. So essentially, I know one set of people, I know one set of skin tone, I know one set of beliefs or traditions, they are Jamaica. Now on to our next point. All Jamaicans are descendants of immigrants if you check history, whether they were brought here through slavery, indentured labor, were colonizers, came here for better opportunities, or just wanted to live in Jamaica. Whether that is by force or free will. We all now call ourselves Jamaicans, no matter the races or countries we come from. That's how we were grown and what we know, because many of us don't belong to just one group, but several, no matter the percentage of the different groups that are in us. And yes, most Jamaicans are mainly black in skin color, ranging in shades. So it's also good to note that it is said that 90% are African descendants, right? But you might be an African descendant and be mixed with Indian or be mixed with Chinese and so forth. Or you might be a direct descendant and you have that coming down your bloodline. Race can be pretty confusing and complex, as well as how we identify. Now let's continue. We'll get into that part in another video. Now, some people may be surprised that white people are Jamaicans because some Jamaicans do not see white Jamaicans. This is not an exclusive statement. Any Jamaican could live anywhere a yard, and many Jamaican families have a variety of people, but it wouldn't be an error to state that many white Jamaicans are normally uptown. Let's explain that. Jamaica is a small island in the Caribbean with over 2 million people. There are 14 parishes here. Now in US you call it states and so forth. We call it parishes, right? Aside from the parishes, Jamaicans may say that you are from country or town, which means that you're from rural areas or from, when they say town, they mainly mean Kingston, the capital of Jamaica. And if you are from town, meaning Kingston, you may be from uptown or downtown or ghetto, right? And uptown may relate to some as upper class, and for downtown or ghetto, lower class in location and status. Not saying that there are no white Jamaicans in the ghetto or no black people uptown, but there are more black Jamaicans uptown than there are white Jamaicans in the ghetto. And Jamaicans don't normally mention Middletown. It's either you can't afford things or you can't afford things or you can't afford that much things. Either you have it or you don't really have it. But there is a Middletown, a middle class that you don't really point out. We say uptown, downtown people. But let us know in the comments what you think of this section. Because who knows, I may just be wrong about this part. Now, explaining all of this would take a whole other video as there are several factors. Now, uptown doesn't particularly mean rich. It could be more traditionally educated, how you dress or look, where you live, location, very important, and how you can afford things. And as it relates to those who come from the country, there are also tiers, but they wouldn't particularly fit into the uptown ghetto. And country people disagree because them have them uptown and them have them downtown too, but that's another conversation that we need to explore. Nonetheless, there are stereotypes we need to examine as a people and also address. Now it takes us to another point. Speaking of stereotypes, not all Jamaicans can or want to cook or dance or listen to reggae and dancehall and whatever globally or nationally that is branded as being Jamaican. Jamaicans are humans like anybody else with diverse backgrounds, personalities, interests, and so. Some might love football, while some might prefer anime, while some do both, while some do none. It's people. People have minds, wills, and gravitate to what they gravitate to. People are multifaceted and so forth. So yes, not all Jamaicans are any one thing. And to wrap up on the final point, yes, racism, colorism, classism, and several other isms exist. Some may not call it racism but colorism, but many will agree that classism is one of our biggest, if not biggest ism that we have to deal with. And that we'll dive into in another video. To conclude, Jamaicans can be any color, any shade, and a descendant from any race or ethnic group or a mixture of two or more. Jamaicans may speak English, patois, and normally Jamaicans speak and or understand both. They may also speak any other language, as language is something you learn, right? Jamaicans may have a variety of personalities, a great variety of interests that span beyond Jamaican borders. Sometimes it is the minority, like Jamaicans are known for Rastafarianism, but the majority are Rastas. Essentially, it doesn't matter what we look like, what our interests are, our personality types, how educated we are, how much money we have, where one lives, and who we may be descended from. We just call ourselves Jamaicans. We hope that video was informative, provided some clarity, enlightenment, start some conversation or have some conversations going and so forth. If you have any pointers, let us know in the comments. We couldn't cover everything, but we hope to do different videos about this topic. Thank you so much for watching, subscribing, listening, and see you pretty soon.